Hi folks, so in this video what we're going to do is we're going to do a little OnShape video based on this cheese grater exercise here, and it's going to introduce us to a couple of new commands, specifically mainly this one here using the loft boss base feature, and we're also going to use the plane feature as well to create a different surface to draw on. Okay, so as you can see here, it says here a cheese grater is represented in the 2D sketches and the 3D object below. It says create a 3D model of the object, and now it says in SolidWorks we're going to be using the program here called OnShape, okay, to the dimensions provided. You will need to use the loft boss base and shell commands to complete the object. Shell command because we obviously want to hollow out the grater, and then it says use your own dimensions for the shell command and the handle of the grater. So we can kind of come up with these dimensions on our own. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to give a height here. I'm going to say the overall height to there is going to be 60. Oh no, I'll actually go with 80. And then I'm going to say this here is 30. Okay, just so we know that. And then I'm going to say the diameter of this section inside here for the handle part has a diameter of 22. Diameter of 22. And that's what I'm going to work with here. I'll also just look in here. I think I'm going to make the length from there all the way to there of 100, and I'd say these bits here I'm going to do, that's 10. Okay, so that should be suitable enough. Okay, so there's our dimensions. Okay, and you can see I'm after making up my own there, and that should be suitable. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to start modeling that, and I'm going to start off by modeling the base section here, this loft boss base. Okay, so I'm going to bring you into OnShape. Now I'm just going to show you a previous model that I've done. So if I click in here and show you the end result of what we're going to be creating. So this is the actual feature that we're going to be creating here. Okay, forgot to change the color of the inside portion there, but that's okay. So, and you can see the handle here on top. So if we take it stage by stage, we're going to start off by creating two sketches here. And then we're going to create a loft between them. Then we're going to add on the top section, and then we're going to add on the shell, which is the cutout feature inside it, add on this portion of the handle, then we're going to do an extruded cut, and then finally we're going to add in the handle. So that's the stages it's going to happen in all those stages. Okay, so I'm going to go back out here, and what we would do is you start off by clicking create document. Now I'm going to title my document cheese grater exercise, and OCD kicking in there, capital E, there we go, and click create. Now that's going to bring us into a window here, obviously our modeling screen. Okay, and at this stage you should be comfortable obviously with the various planes we have here and our viewing cube, and obviously our tools, some of our tools up here, and our design tree over here. Now to start off, I'm going to start off by turning off my front and my right plane, okay? Because the plane we're going to be drawing on is the top plane to start off with. So I'm going to start off by doing a sketch, and I'm going to select the top plane to draw on. So sketch plane, select the top plane. And now that we're in a sketch, you can see sketch 1 is activated, top plane is here. I'm going to look down on top of it like that. Okay, just going to go back out to my object here. And the lights are after going out in the room there, guys, so apologies. So to activate them with a sensor. Now, what I'm going to start off with is, I'm going to start off with a sketch here. If you think of it, we're going to draw in this profile here, this rectangle that we can see here on the base that's sitting on the ground, or in this case on our top plane. Now what is the length of that? It's 150 long and it's 72 wide. So I essentially need to create a rectangle with those dimensions. So going back in here, I'm going to go up here to my sketch tools. We're already active in a sketch. So in my sketch tools, I want to select, very important, I don't select corner rectangle, I want a center point rectangle. It's highlighted blue. Starting on the origin, click, and you can see here, by dragging out, it's going out equal distance to the left and the right and up and down. Click again. Now I want to apply dimensions to that. So I go to my dimension tool, select this line we want it to be 150 long, and then this line, click on the line, drag out, click again, and I want this dimension to be 72. You can see the sketch has gone from blue to black, it is fully defined. Now that we have the sketch done, what I actually want to do is I want to exit my sketch. So I'm just going to click on the green arrow to accept. And there you can see our sketch is there on the top plane. Now that I have a sketch, I'm actually going to deactivate my top plane. Okay, and I've got a profile here. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I want to do another sketch. Okay, just to show you here, that next sketch, we kind of have a sketch something like this. There, I want to do another sketch directly above it, but slightly smaller, using another rectangle. Okay, and that sketch is directly above it on another plane. Okay, we have a plane there, and if you imagine our plane down here is the top plane. So there's a distance between those two planes. Okay, we have to create that using the plane command. So how we're going to do that is, I'm actually going to turn on my top plane, I suppose, just for the reference here. I'll turn it back on there. You can see it there, and our sketch profile is in here. Now, to create a new plane to draw on, obviously we mainly have these ones, the top, the front, and the right. You've obviously got your 3 planes here. If I was to activate them all, you can see them there. But the ones I just want to activate at the moment is the top plane. If I want to create a new plane, the plane I want to create is this tool over here. So you highlight this one here, you can see it there, it's a little kind of rectangle with another little rectangle inside it. Click on that, you can see a tool has come up here, and what it's asking us to do is select something to reference it from. Now I want a plane directly above the top plane at a certain distance. So I'm first of all, in the entities, I'm going to come over here and select top. Now my top plane has gone in there. And you can actually see if I rotate around by pressing down on the wheel and the mouse and rotate it around, okay, you can see a new plane has come in there, and it's just called plane 1. Now I can drag that up by doing this, but I actually want a certain dimension for that plane to be at a certain height. So if I go back out to my drawing, that plane I want is up to this height here, from the ground up to this height here, and you can see that dimension is 200. So that's the distance that I want to set between them. So that plane there, I'm going to change it in here, offset distance 200, press enter, click the green arrow, and just to get that active, and you can see here now we have our 2 planes. We have our top plane with our sketch on it, and we have now plane 1. This is the plane I now want to draw another rectangle on. If I just come out here, and you can see that new rectangle. Now that rectangle has dimensions, okay, you can see it's from the base drawing of 150 by 72. It's in 15, obviously either side, so in 15 and in 15, so it's probably 130 long, or sorry, 120 long, I should say, and it's 42 wide. Okay, so that's what we want to do once again. So back out here, I want to sketch on this plane now. So select sketch, select the plane you want to draw on. There we go, looking down on top of it. Now we can see our original sketch underneath. Don't worry about that. I'm going to go over here and grab a center rectangle again. It's already active from the last time. I'm going to click on the origin, and I'm going to draw another rectangle inside my previous one. Okay, do it roughly. Now I'm going to go to my dimension tool, which is over here. I want the distance for this line to be 120, or alternatively I could set the distance between those two to be 15, which is what I'll do. So I'll click on this line, then click on this line, and I can get the distance between them. I'll just pull it out here, and I'm going to set that to 15. Now what that will do is, on the opposite side, that will be 15 as well, so there's no need to dimension that. I'm now going to set the distance for this line. Click on this line, drag out, and this distance is 42 millimeters. Okay, and there we have it. I'm going to click the green arrow to accept. Now I'm going to go into a 3D view, and as you can see, I have a top plane with a sketch, and I have another plane called plane 1 with a sketch. Now what we want to do is, we want to do what's called a lofted boss base. So what that does is, in a loft boss base, it allows us to create a 3-dimensional object with 2 different profiles. This is profile here. It's actually profile number 2, and this would be profile number 1. Okay, what I mean by profile is the original sketch, just a 2D sketch of the rectangle, this one which was larger than this one on top, and then I can connect them Okay, you can do it with very different objects and different sketches. It doesn't matter on the sketch, but in this case it's quite helpful because they're obviously both rectangles just of different sizes, and we can make it a three-dimensional object by lofting it up to the other one. Okay, so that's what we want to do there now. So to do that, I have to go to my loft boss base feature. So I'm going to go over here, and you'll actually see you've got this little one here. You can see here it looks like a square at the bottom and a circle at the top. So that's why I was saying you can use it with different shapes. Okay, it could be a circle and a square and so forth, or a rectangle and so on. We've obviously got two rectangles here just of different sizes. So I'm going to select loft, and what it's asking me to do is it's asking me to select the profiles that I want to use. Now my profiles are sketch 1 and sketch 2. You can see when I hover over them that they're highlighted orange on the screen. Or you can just select them here. So I'm going to select in here. There's sketch 1. And now I'm going to select sketch 2. And as you can see, the minute I selected sketch 2, there we go, we're after creating our feature. Okay. Now, there is conditions here. I wouldn't worry about those for this video, so don't play around with those. Just make sure you leave this as none and none. Okay. When you're done with that, accept that. Okay. And there we have it. Now that I've actually got my profile, my lofted feature, I'm going to hide my plane 1 and hide my top plane. So my top plane is active, and I'm going to hide plane 1 as well. What I will do is I rename this feature. So I'll click on it, right click on it, rename, and I'm going to call that Grater base. Okay, just so I can obviously identify it later on. Now what I want to do is I obviously want to add on this little section here. If I just zoom in there, we kind of have a little feature here, and they told us to come up with our own dimensions, okay, for this section here. Now their one sits directly on top of it, as you can see here. I'm actually going to imagine that it's going to overhang a little bit. I'm going to say it's going to come out 2 millimeters from the edge. Okay, so we're going to use another feature here called an offset tool. And then the height of this section here, I'm going to say is, I'm going to go with a 10 again. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do next, is just making that little structure there. So in here, what I want to do is I want to sketch on this surface now. So select the surface to sketch on. So select sketch and select the surface to draw on. There we go. You can see a new plane or a new sketch has come in. So to look straight on top of that, I'll click top. I'm now looking down on top of it. And what I want to do is I want to use a new tool here called the offset tool. Now offset is a really, really handy tool. You can see it here. It's a really handy tool. What it's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us, if I select a line here, select this line, you can see a line is after automatically coming in off it. Now that distance that it's actually saying is 5 millimeters. I'm going to change that in a minute. Okay, I'm also going to select this line, and you can see it's after joining up. I'll select this line and this line. Okay, when I'm done, when I'm happy with that, and I've all the 4 lines selected, you can see our sketch is just after offsetting. I don't want that to be 2 or 5 though. I'm going to come over here and click on the 5, and I want that to be 2. And you can see it'll change the whole way around. It's after going 2 millimeters offset the whole way around. Okay, so it's a quick tool to use rather than having to draw a rectangle and put in loads of dimensions. I could literally offset, and then it'll be 2 millimeters the whole way around. Okay, and I'm happy with that. Now, without leaving my sketch, okay, I'm not going to leave my sketch this time. I'm going to come over here to my extrude tool. And what I want to do is I want that to go up, not a height of 25, which it's set here for add. I just want to change this to 10. And there we have that. Now that I've done that, I'm going to accept that with the green arrow. So there we go. There's the next portion of it done. Now, inside here, I'm going to do the next thing. I want to hollow out this section. Now, I have done this on a previous video using the whistle command, or sorry, the whistle video, not the whistle command, the shell command in the whistle exercise video. So we're going to use that that command again, shelling. So if I click on shell, it's going to ask me faces to remove. Now the distance I'm going to set this to be is, I'm going to say I'd say 1 millimeter. Just see what it looks like. I'm going to select this face here. Now you can see there, I'm after hollowing out that face on the inside. I'm happy with that. I'm going to accept that with the green arrow. Okay, and you can see that is hollowed out. Now, for the shell, I'm not going to rename that feature. I will rename the extrude feature. I'm just going to say Grater. I'm going to say Grater top. Likewise, I had Grater base over here. So that's now Grater top in this section. The shell command is pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to do that one. Now what I'm going to do is I have to create the handles. So if I come back out here, so for our handles, what we're going to do is we're going to draw on the plane that's actually in the middle here. So we have a plane that's running through. You mightn't recognize it just yet, but I'll show it you in a minute. There's a plane running through the middle there, and it's most likely the right plane. Okay, so we're going to be sketching on the right plane, and we're going to sketch in a profile of this shape here. Okay, and we're going to extrude it by using symmetric. Okay, where it's going to go right and left. Okay, often in SolidWorks and another program, it will be called midplane. And we're going to extrude that by a distance of 100 millimeters. It has a height of 80, and I think, if I remember here, oh yeah, the distance here is 30, so obviously our arc here would be a radius of 15. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to select now, you'll notice here, if I select sketch and right plane, you can see here, a plane is after coming in into the middle of my object. Okay, now don't worry about the plane because we're drawing up here, but because I have this surface to draw on, that's okay. Now what I want to do is I want to look at either the left or the right hand side. Okay, I'm actually just going to swivel it about. I'm going to look at the right hand side. So I'm going to click on right. So now, even though it looks like my sketch is down here, I can draw anywhere up here, even if it's above the sketch, it doesn't matter, or above this kind of rectangular box, I'm going to be drawing up here. But to start off, I'm going to start off by selecting align command and then construction. Okay, I'm going to start down here in the origin. Now I'm going to do a vertical line, and I'm going to do it up to about there. Don't worry about the exact height, just as long as it's above the overall object. Press escape to deactivate your tool, or alternatively, you can press right click and escape line. Okay, now I want that point there to be the exact height of this line. So a little shortcut, rather than using the dimension, I'm going to select the point, and then I'm going to select coincidence, and then select the line that I want it to be in line with. And you can see it's after jumping down to that. Really helpful tool there. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to start my sketch, and I'm going to use some mirror entities here. So I'm going to grab a line command, not construction this time, and from this point here now, I'm going to do a line from there. I'm going to go out roughly here and do a line straight up about here as well. And there we go. So press right click, escape line, there we go. Now what I want to do is I'm going to add some dimensions to that. The dimension I want here is 15 millimeters for this line. And the height I want for this line is to be 65. You'll see where I get 65 in a second when the overall height is 80. Now, before I actually do the circular part, I want to mirror these two lines over to the opposite side. So I'm going to go to my mirror command. I'm going to select mirror line. Select the mirror line, which is this line here. That's why I drew this line previously. And now I'm going to select the lines I want to copy. This one and this one. Okay, that's done now. Happy with that. Now what I want to do, last little thing, I want to put in a circle in here. So I'm going to go to my circle command, center point circle. If I hover over this point, don't click, and drag over, you can see here it's mapping with this line as well. So watch as I hover over that, and it maps onto there. That's my center point. Click, let go, and when you get out to this point, click again. There is our profile. Now, I don't want this bottom portion, so I'm going to go to my trim command, click and hold, and drag it through, and you can see there's my profile. But what's important to note is, you can see how the sketch box has moved up. Notice how my profile is in the middle of the object. Now that I've got that profile, what I mean by profile is the sketch. Okay, and the sketch has an overall height of 80 because the radius is 15 for the arc, so that means it's 65 plus 15. Now I want to go to my extrude tool. I want to go to add, and I want to change this dimension to be 100. However, as you can see, that is not correct. I want it to be 50 to the left and 50 to the right, so I'm going to select symmetric. And there we go. Click on the green arrow to accept. So there's that bit done. Now the next thing we're going to do is we have to kind of cut out a section. So now having done that, I'm going to remove a portion in here before I add in the handle. So to be able to do that, what I'm going to do is I want that distance. If you remember here, it was 10 here, so this would be 10. That means our gap here is 80. So to be able to do that, I'm going to go back in here, bring it right into the center. I'm going to sketch on this face. So select sketch, select the face you want to draw on. Select. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to grab my line command again and my construction line command. I'm going to look at the back of it in this case, just so I'm looking straight at that. I'm going to start right here. You can see you can get this line here. I can get the midpoint. It hovers over the little box there. Click, drag up. Now I want the height of this line. I'm going to do it up to there. And right click, press escape line. Now with that line there, I want that line to be exactly 80 high. So I will apply a dimension to this one. 80. Perfect. Now that I've given that a dimension, what's really helpful, you see, is I can find the middle of the line when I want to draw it. So I'm going to come back here to my center rectangle. Center point is the one I want, not a corner. So just make sure that you're on center point. And I want to hover over the line here that I've done, the construction line. I should say my center line. I'll zoom in there. Now you can see here, once I get over the middle line, there's a little box around it. Click on that, and I want that box to match up with this top line here. Not above it, not below it, in line with it. When it's in line, click. Now, the only thing I have to do with that line, you can see it's already got a height of 80, is I have to set the distance between this line and this line to be 10. So smart dimension, click on the line, I want that gap in there to be 10. The box is now fully defined, and you can see our rectangle. Now using that rectangle, I want to cut through the object. So I go to extrude, instead of add, select remove. And just set the distance to through all. Okay, and you can see it goes through the whole thing. Or alternatively, it could have been, you can see here on the end condition, instead of blind, I selected through all. And you can see it goes through the whole object. Happy with that, except it with the green arrow. Okay, now once again, I often forget this myself. What I'm going to say here for this is I'm going to rename this, right click on it, rename. I'm going to say handle holders, handle mount maybe actually. And then for extrude 2, and what I'm going to call this is right click, rename, handle mount cut, because that's what I did, I cut it away. Now the last little bit we have to do is we have to add a handle between here and here. So to do that, I'm going to zoom in here, I'm going to select sketch, and I'm going to select sketch on this surface. So this face I'm going to draw on. Click on the face. Now you can see there, we've got now a profile to draw on that face. Now for this, I'm actually going to sketch in the 3D here. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to grab a circle. Now, if you hover over here, you can actually see it'll bring you down. If you find it, if you just kind of look in here, it'll show you where the center point is of the circle here, because I want the next circle to be concentric with that. So I found that. So just hover over this, come down, and it should help you find it there. When I found the center point of that previous arc or semicircle, click on it. And I'm going to do a circle, any size. Then I'm going to give it a dimension. Click on your smart dimension tool. Click on the circumference. I want the radius, or sorry, the diameter to be 22. Enter. Now there's our profile. I want to make an extrusion from there to touch this face here. So how do I do that? I'm going to go to my extrude, and instead of blinds, I could grab it like that and just keep pulling it. I don't want to use that though. I want to use another condition now here. We've used blind before. Previously, in the last example there, literally 2 minutes ago, we used true all. This time I'm going to select up to face. So when I select up to face, it's asking me to select the face I want to do it as far as. I'm going to select this face now. And there we go, it goes up to face. And click on the green arrow to accept. And there you have it. There is our model complete. Okay, now quick way just to show you how I colored it. Okay, you can use your own colors here. But for the Grater base, okay, and the shell, I want the two of them to be the same color. So I'm going to click on this, then hold down the control button, CTRL, it's at the bottom left of your keyboard, and click on shell as well. Okay, the two of them are selected. Now, you can see here straight away a box is after coming up there. If that box doesn't come up, just right click on one of these, and it'll say add appearance to two features. Click on this. I'm going to use kind of a gray here. There we go, I'm happy with that. Click on the green arrow. Now that's what I should have done previously. You can see the inside has gone grey as well. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the Grater top, hold down Control, select handle mount. There we go. Sorry, it's not control, apologies, I made a mistake there previously. Hold down the shift key, which is the button above the CTR with the arrow handle, with the arrow. Click on this. That's a 9 minute. Or I can actually just select them all individually. There's a little difference from SolidWorks, guys, so apologies for that. So select Grater top, handle mount cut, and then the extrude one, which I still have to rename, which I will do in a second. And now that all 4 of those are selected, right click on any one of those and then say add appearance to 4 features. And I'm going to go with the same one that they did in the, or they have in the sheet. I'm going to go with the green. You can use red, or you can do multicolors here, I don't mind, and click on the green arrow to accept. And there you have it. There is our cheese grater completed. Okay. So if I just refer out here, you can see the color scheme I went with. Okay, that there is the cheese grater exercise. Last thing I'm going to do is just rename this feature, right click on it, rename, and this I'm just going to call it handle. And there we go. It's always a good idea to rename your features so that you know exactly what it is that you were doing previously. So that's that video done, guys, where we introduce ourselves now to a couple of new features here, namely the lofted boss base feature. Okay, and obviously we also introduced the new adding in a new plane surface. Okay, so that's the video done, guys. I hope you found that helpful.